everyone, welcome back for another �𝐶𝐭 video. We have a client here that has a leaky pipe on the discharge side of things. You can see right there where the rubber clamp is clamped to the pipe. It's leaking right there, so we're going to go ahead and replace that entire section. So in this video we're going to show you how to do that and some tips along the way to make you a plumbing expert in no time. So let's go ahead and take a look at the tools that are needed for the job. So here are the tools needed for this small job. You got the PVC shears right here. You can go with the Milwaukee battery powered ones or some manual ones if you want. Use this on fresh pipe only. Don't use this on old pipe because it might crack it. You got your Sawzall here to cut old pipe. You got your level here if you're OCD on your cuts like I am. You got your tape measure to measure the cuts. Some Teflon tape there for the male adapter. You got your channel locks to tighten the male adapter. Got some clear glue, clear cleaner, your Sharpie to make your marks, and then your plumbing parts. So for this job we only need a male adapter, 2 90s, a coupling, and of course PVC. So now that we got that pointed out, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to do is make our cuts to remove this pipe. So we're going to take our Sawzall here. We're going to cut 2 points. We're going to cut one down here because this is where we're going to build off of, and we're going to cut here so we can spin this part off by itself without hitting the wall. So let's go ahead and get this cut. Now we'll go ahead and get this off. So tip number 1, after you cut pipe, you see all this scrap and stuff. To protect your hands, take a small towel or rag and get rid of that here so it doesn't affect the glue joint. And just continue using that for any pipe that you just cut that's got the burrs on it. Tip number 2, when we're applying a plumber's tape to the male adapter, go counterclockwise so that way as you tighten it in the pump housing, it actually tightens the tape instead of loosens it. Now all you need here is a good 3 to 4 wraps max. You don't want to create so much tape there that it causes stress and possibly crack the pump housing. So once we're done with that, we can go ahead and thread this in. After you clean this out, let's go ahead and start threading this in. So we just keep going, and now we'll just go ahead and use the channel locks and go ahead and tighten it up. Tip number 3, most manufacturers like 5 times the diameter of the pipe going straight in and straight out uninterrupted. So that means with us working with 1.5 inch pipe, we need 7.5 inches of straight pipe coming out of the top of the pump or going into it. So I always try to make that happen, you know, any chance I get, because it's going to make the pump run quieter, smoother, less cavitation, all that stuff. So we also have to keep in mind the stopper is about 1.25 1.5 inches into the fitting. So that means we're going to add about 3 inches to the length of the cut. So we need a 10.5 inch cut. So now we're just going to take our tape measure, measure 10.5 inches, mark it off. There we go. That's the cut we're going to make right there. Tip number 4, always wrap the equipment you're working on in a towel or a rag so you're not dropping glue or cleaner all over the equipment. Now that we got our cut here, we're going to go ahead and prep the surface and go ahead and go right into gluing. I do like to face the labels away from the customer's view, so I always like to face them towards the wall or facing the ground or anything like that, just to give it a cleaner look. So let's go ahead and clean this. I want to make sure it's a nice clean surface, not a lot of dirt and sand and all that stuff. You can see a pretty good difference between the clean section and the raw section. Do the same thing here. Let it dry for 1 quick second. Now we're going to go right into gluing. So we'll just take our glue. I like to go 1 wrap around here, and then a little bit in there. And you want to push down and twist, so go like that and twist and hold it down. And then also clean off any glue that may have came over to give it a nice clean look. So this part is done. Now we're going to go ahead and prep and glue our coupling so we can make a correct cut for this length. So again, we're just going to clean it really well. Make sure that's nice and smooth and clean. Prep this area as well. Now this stuff will eat through old glue as long as it's a thinner amount, not a cluster. Old primer, you even see it pull off pipe labeling as far as the ink they put on it when it's made. Go ahead and get that nice and glued up. Go around a couple times here, and again, label there, so we're going to face that towards the wall. Push and turn. Now we're going to get any glue that came dripping down the pipe. Now we're ready to make a good measurement for to match this height over here on the discharge. Now this is a great time to use our level, because we can use this to figure out what length cut we need to make. So we just make sure that the bubble's level there. Whoops. Now we just go ahead and make our measurement to the bottom of the level to give a identical. So we need about 9.5 inches of pipe to match this discharge height. Now let's go ahead and glue this new piece right here in this coupling, and hopefully at the end we'll have a nice level manifold here that we're building. So let's go ahead and clean this. And again, in here as well, every time. Anytime you're gluing two pieces of pipe together, make sure both of them are clean. And again, we want the labels facing the wall, so we'll see where that's at. They're right there. So we'll push down here and then twist and hold. Give the glue a second to cure, and then we're good. Now it's rock solid and it's not going anywhere. Tip number 5, it's always ideal to build up a manifold of sorts so you can put the top on last instead of building up over and then trying to connect down there and possibly bending or breaking pipe to make that happen. So this is the process I use to make the replumbing as simple as possible. Now we're going to build that manifold I was talking about a second ago. So this is a very simple process. All we need to do is go put our 90s there and measure the gap in between and make a cut, and I'll show you how that's done. So let's go ahead and show it. So now what we need to do is measure the gap between here so we know how long to make that cut. So it's approximately 6 3/4 inches long. So that's the cut we're going to make. Alright, so what I'm about to show you now is a dry run. It's going to be hard to do on camera when it's, the glue's wet and everything. But ideally what we want to do, see how that's offline here? We want to glue these 90s and be in line. So what we want to do is eyeball it, and then you should be able to see now that it's pretty much right in line, so that way we can just plop it on top once we get the glue good. So I'm going to go ahead and off camera get this glued up and ready to go. Tip number 6, always dry fit pieces before you start gluing stuff down, that way you're not stuck having to cut it out and redo it. Now if I made my measurements correctly, this should just plop on without having to bend or pull any pipe to make it work. Remember, the less stress you put the pipe under, the longer it's going to last, so make your cuts exact. See here, it fits perfectly. Notice no barcodes or labels are showing. Again, it's just a nice touch I like to do. So let's go ahead and glue this down. Tip number 7, when you're gluing multiple pieces of pipe at once, it's important to be efficient and quick as possible so the glue doesn't dry. So what I like to do to make things quick is I'll glue the piece I'm going to join and then the piece that is being adjoined to. Redip to get more cleaner, and repeat the process for however many pieces you need. I've done a 4-pipe manifold before, the same process, and it gets done before the glue dries. So now here's the important part. Same exact process. Now obviously you can't twist this part, but we can push it down nice and firmly till it's nice and solid. Hold it for a second, then you're good. Now all we need to do is clean up any pipe where glue's dripped down, and it looks like we're pretty good. So that's it. That's how you redo the manifold. Now at this point, I'll go ahead and put all my equipment away and get packed up while the glue dries to sort of kill two birds with one stone. Now after about 5 minutes has passed, and in all reality you could probably start the system a lot sooner, but I like to make sure that glue cures and dries and all that good stuff. So once that time passed, go ahead and start the system up. You can see there aren't any leaks anywhere and the system's running extremely well. On a side note, I do like to add a drain line on the discharge side in between the pump and the filter. However, as you can see, there's already one there on the return side, so I left that alone. So hopefully you guys learned a little bit and how to plumb. This works for basically anything you have to do, this process, and hope you guys learned a lot, and stay tuned for more how-to videos from 𝐾𝐿 and King Pool Service. Like and subscribe, and have a great day, everyone.